This is not merely a history, it is a primal scream that echoes across the centuries. We are charting the astonishing, brutal trajectory of a man who began his life as an abandoned orphan, a hunted outcast, and ended it as Genghis Khan, the undisputed lord of the most feared and largest contiguous empire the world has ever known. His story is one of relentless ambition, catastrophic betrayal, and an iron will that forged an identity not from inherited power, but from pure, raw terror. The man who would become the Great Khan was born Temujin around 1162 into a world of fractured, nomadic tribes on the unforgiving steppes of Mongolia. His lineage was respectable, but his childhood was a brutal masterclass in survival. After his father, Yasuge, was poisoned by rival Tatars, Temujin was instantly cast out. Abandonment was his first lesson in ruthlessness. His father's former followers refused to acknowledge the widow and her young sons, leaving them completely destitute. Temujin, his mother Hoalun, and his siblings were reduced to scavenging for roots, hunting marmots, and fishing in streams. Their poverty was profound, but the true drama lay in the family's internal conflict. In a moment that defined his character, a moment of chilling pragmatic cruelty, the young Temujin murdered his older half-brother Bektar over a trifling dispute concerning food. This wasn't just fratricide, it was a definitive declaration. Survival demanded absolute authority, and weakness would be purged, even within his own bloodline. The boy who was abandoned learned that power, not kinship, was the only currency on the steppes. Temujin's early life became a cycle of devastating betrayals and meticulous vengeance. He was captured and enslaved by a rival tribe, the Taich Yud, forcing him to wear a heavy wooden collar. He endured the ultimate humiliation, but he used his cunning to stage a desperate escape, transforming himself from prisoner to fugitive. His initial rise wasn't built on conquest, but on strategic, almost corporate alliances. He allied with Togrul, the Khan of the powerful Kurayid tribe, and more importantly, with Jamuka, his Anda, blood brother, from childhood. Their bond was legendary, but it was a fragile pact destined for disaster. Their friendship represented the last gasp of the old Mongolian tribal code. Their inevitable split signaled the dawn of the new age of conquest. The true fracture occurred when their loyalties diverged. Jamuka remained fiercely dedicated to the traditional, decentralized tribal structure, while Temujin envisioned a unified nation based on personal merit, loyalty, and a single, unstoppable law. The ensuing feud between the two blood brothers became the central, Shakespearean drama of the Mongol steppes. Temujin, the survivor, quickly demonstrated his tactical brilliance by offering protection to anyone who would swear personal allegiance to him, regardless of tribe. This was revolutionary. He shattered the old tribal lines, replacing blood loyalty with personal fealty to his charisma and vision. He attracted the marginalized, the ambitious, and the brutally efficient. The rivalry with Jamuka culminated in several decisive battles. After Temujin's forces captured Jamuka in 1204, the betrayal was complete. Jamuka, knowing Temujin's code of honor, requested a clean, bloodless death, a request granted by the Khan out of respect for their shared past. The execution of his own blood brother marked the final symbolic severing of the past. Temujin was now the sole master of his own destiny. In 1206, the culmination of decades of warfare and political maneuvering took place. Temujin gathered the leaders of the fragmented tribes at the Great Assembly, the Kuriltai. There, he was unanimously proclaimed Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. The Orphan was now the emperor. His new regime was built on three pillars: meritocracy, promotions were based on skill and loyalty, not birthright; military innovation. He organized his armies into decimal units, tumens of 10,000 men, making them a perfectly synchronized, fast-moving machine. The Yasa, a strict, written code of law that governed everything from military discipline to property rights, imposing absolute order on chaos. With the Mongol nation unified and his military machine finely tuned, Genghis Khan turned his terrifying gaze outward. His motivation was complex: vengeance for past slights, insatiable hunger for wealth, and a belief that he had been divinely mandated to conquer the world. His first major target was the Jin dynasty of northern China. The siege of their capital, Zhongdu, modern Beijing, was a spectacle of brutal efficiency. He moved his cavalry across immense distances with astonishing speed, adapting nomadic warfare for siege tactics. The conquest of the Jin, completed by his successors, provided the Mongols with unprecedented access to wealth, engineers, and crucial siege technology. From there, the expansion was relentless. His destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia, triggered by the Sultan Muhammad II's disastrous decision to murder a diplomatic envoy sent by Genghis Khan, was a masterpiece of military savagery. The campaign was total, driven by a personal, unyielding fury. Cities like Samarkand and Bukhara were utterly annihilated, their populations massacred or enslaved, and their irrigation systems destroyed. He was not just conquering land, he was erasing nations. By the time of his death in 1227, Genghis Khan had created an empire stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. The boy who learned to hunt marmots had unleashed a whirlwind. He left behind a legacy that is simultaneously terrifying and transformative. A system of law, trade routes, the Pax Mongolica, and a unified people, all born from the trauma of his abandonment. The Great Khan's final triumph was not the vastness of his empire, but the psychological scar he left on the world. He proved that an outcast, armed with sheer will, an understanding of human cruelty, and a genius for organization, could become the single most feared and successful conqueror in all of history.